Welcome to Eyes and Teeth, Funny for Money, Season 7, Edition 2. And on this episode, my guest, when performing, is Armed and Dangerous. And that's what takes me onto a book of the same title, by a past guest of Eyes and Teeth, James Brandon of the Grumbleweeds. James has got a great book out called Armed and Dangerous, and it's full of brilliant one-liner heckles. You can buy this online, but just as a taster, here are a few put-downs in the book I've heard of, and maybe I've not heard of, but they made me chuckle. Are you heckling me, or just practicing all the words that you know? If you were the one they came to hear, all the seats would be facing you. We could do the show in your mouth, you know, there'd be a lot more room. You should sell yourself to a ventriloquist. That's fascinating. I could listen to you for seconds. Are they your first teeth? They'll be your last if you don't shut up. Ooh, controversial. It's a great book from James Brandon, and if you're starting out in comedy, it's brilliant to have ammo lined up just in case. Because if you're starting out and you're struggling, then the hecklers start to notice your vulnerability. They may add to the slow death you're experiencing there on stage. But if you have these lines up your sleeve, then they could just save you. I don't perform in venues that constitute a heckler, to be honest, but then I've only had a handful of comedy clubs, and I had hecklers then. I had hecklers sometimes in social clubs, but I was always ready. And to be fair, for a ventriloquist, it's a lot easier to say what's in your head through the dummy, as 99% of the time, you'll get away with it. Pete Matthews is armed and dangerous in a different way. He knows his audiences, and he knows how to turn a bad audience into the best ever. Pete's one of the most sought-after acts in the cruise ship industry. He's a variety sensation, and everybody knows who Pete is. If you've been on the ships, you may have worked alongside him, or seen him in a holiday park, a theatre, at a festival over the past 25-30 years. He's at the top of his game, and he's truly a magnetic personality. He's got this aura that just invites you in, and you can hear this in our chat today. If TV was different, and talented people like Pete would host his own show, the Pete Matthews Saturday Night Variety Live would be at the top of the schedule. Why are acts like Pete not household names? It's wrong. But he's happy. He loves his work. And when work is pulled from underneath someone like Pete, as it was in 2020, he doesn't stop. No, he builds a future for himself and his family. He builds on the foundations of life. And he even built a wall. So sit back, relax, unless you're driving, of course, and enjoy my chat with the one and only Pete Matthews.
Hey Steve, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Nice to catch up.
This is great that you're doing these podcasts, mate. It really is. I've listened to a few of them, and I know there's lots of talk about them and stuff, so good for you for doing it. It's terrific.
Oh, bless. That's nice to hear that. Thank you. It's really nice connecting with mates and connecting with, colleagues in the business and getting to know people I'm a fan of as well. And I admire so many entertainers in different genres as well. But we've never actually worked together, have we? And we've crossed. I've got off ships and you've got on, and there's been so many crossovers, but I'm like, oh my God, Pete's on, and you've got your suitcases there ready to go home. All his gutted.
I remember being a little bit famous within the industry, and someone joked, because I always try and get home as early as possible. If the show was done, if possible, I'd like to get out of there.
Yeah. And
I remember someone saying once, it was probably Jeff Stevenson. I think he said, "Here, Pete's got a good gig. He gets home before he's even been out there."
That's nice. He's home before the second show. Well, I found you. You're Crazy Juggler, or www.crazyjuggler.com, and there you are with some wonderful pieces on there, and a great video I watched earlier as well, which is
I'm really proud of the website. Claire Nordbrooks has done a fantastic job. Claire's does all of Jamie Allen, the Eye Magician, does all of his stuff.
Oh, amazing.
She's really great, and she's done this website, and I'm really proud of it. And I have to say, Steve, I know you can relate to this, because I know you've got a great website too, but it was just heartbreaking, heart-wrenching when I finally decided I guess we were into sort of July, August time of last year.
Yes.
I took the decision to clear the diary. To just clear it.
It is heartbreaking.
Literally all my dates, I had dates on there up until now. You know, and I don't know if anyone else knows about this, but I am a really busy person within the cruise industry. You know, I'm out there a lot. I cleared about 70 dates.
Oh,
you know, over the year and a bit sort of thing in my diary, and it was just heart wrenching because it was like, wow, and it wasn't just it wasn't yes, of course, the financial implications of it, but more importantly, it was just I just didn't have I never thought that if I wasn't doing ships, I wouldn't be doing something.
Yeah.
And that was what was, we always think if we're not on a ship, we'll be in a holiday park. We're not in a holiday park, we'll be in a theatre.
Definitely,
if the theatre, we'll be doing some TV, you know. And suddenly all these other avenues stopped. So we've had, me personally, I've had to be inventive about what I do to keep busy with my time.
Definitely. It's thinking about, you remember that thing when you started in the business and they always said, whether it's at school or your parents, have something to fall back on. But we've had something to fall back on. It's just that thing that we fell back on wasn't there when we landed. It's been an awful time for that. But I always think, and I always said, I won't take lots of cruising and I won't do lots of pantomimes because they'll always be there. And then lo and behold, none of it was there. And that's the shocking thing, isn't it? And your body takes a while to get used to that because you are so full of energy. Where does Pete Matthews put his energy when you're not on the ships? You're not doing that hour and a half each night.
You mentioned the wall. So when lockdown came around first lockdown, but when we all got off our ships, sort of like end of February, March time of last year, suddenly it was like we all had gigs to go to. I was literally going home for a few days and go out onto the brand new Celebrity Apex for the inaugural sailings and the VIP sailings. And I got home and said to my wife, I said, Claire, I don't think I'm going back out next week. At the time, the Diamond Princess was in the press a lot. And I said, no, honestly, I think I'm home. Anyway, and I said, you know what? Those planters you've always wanted, I'm going to go get all the material and the wood because all those sort of shops and stuff like that, I think it's all going to close. I think we're going to be in a big lockdown.
Wow. And
I predicted right, unfortunately. I just didn't predict for how long. But, those first 2 weeks, I suppose, of the first lockdown, it was great because the weather was fantastic. I was out in the garden and I dug out. I have quite a big garden, Steve. But obviously other people don't. But I'm lucky enough. I have a very big house, a big garden, and it's an old garden. The house is 300 years old. So on one of the boundaries was this old decrepit cob wall, which was under 100 years of brambles. But I dug out all that area to put these planters in, and as I was digging up all this soil and earth and clay, it was like, wow, this is basically the remains of the wall that's fallen over, because the wall on my boundary is 50 feet and 25 foot of this wall was still upstanding but under loads of brambles. Blimey. And then the other half was just pure brambles. So the wall hadn't got up and walked away, it literally fallen over. And it's a cob wall, and so all the raw materials were there, so I just took it upon myself to restore this 300-year-old cob wall with the help of YouTube and a few friends through Facebook that I tracked down over the years and stuff. And it was a remarkable thing. But so for the next 6 months, I literally built a cob wall every day for long days. And Steve, I know you can relate to this. I treat it like a job. I thought, you know what, I'm going to set the alarm at 7 and I'll be out there for 7:30 and I'll work till 5. I'll do a proper building day. Because if I don't do that, if I just, do a slapdash, that's when I want, it wouldn't have got done.
It will never get finished, no.
And of course, the other thing was, Steve, it's like anything. When we start a project, we know if we don't finish that project and we go away, that project goes on the back burner and it might never get quite completed. Yeah. So, as entertainers, we've always made hay while the sun shines. So I kept thinking, gosh, this ball's going to take me 6 months. If ships come back right in 6 months and I haven't finished the wall, I'll regret every day off I've taken between now and then.
Mate, that's dedication. I think you've put that into your work as well, haven't you? Because you must always be rehearsing and rehearsing that next trick that you're doing, and the stunt that you're doing, and you just never stop. So your body has to keep going, and for you to actually do that, it's a discipline to actually stick to get it finished, I guess.
Yeah. Do you know what? I mean, a couple of friends of mine, Danny Buckler. I think you probably know Danny.
Oh, Danny's great.
Brilliant, great. And he wrote me and said, Pete, he wrote to me and said, Pete, you should consider a book about your wall for the mindfulness and the mental but it has been an epic journey, and literally it took me 8 months, and it stands there now, 50 foot long, 7 foot high, with all these mixed tiles that I've collected.
Wow.
And the whole thing costing materials in literally less than £1,500.
That's incredible.
And it's really quite epic. And of course, it was the talk of the lane during all those lockdowns. So it really brought the lane together in this building of the wall.
Yeah, to say you've got.
Trump never could.
I was just going to say Trump needed you on his side, didn't he? And it's too late now. He's out there. You'd have had it done in 6 months. Then he kept going on and on about the wall, and like, hang on, Trump, you need to go and follow Pete Matthews on Facebook, because he's built your wall. He's just done it around his house. But but the true dedication, mate, and the heart that you put into that is inspiring, and us entertainers, we're thinking, we want something to show for 2020. We don't want it to be a washout completely. And well done to you for doing that. It's amazing.
Cheers, mate. It was funny because I got to about August time, and I was still potentially months away from being done, and I had worked tirelessly. I mean, I said over 2 stone building it as well. So I was in a really good physical shape, but I looked at it and I was daunted at how much I had still to do, because it's cob. You can actually buy cob bricks, cob blocks.
Right.
And I worked out I could have bought the blocks and just finished it with the blocks and done the render, and it would still be traditional, but it would have saved some time.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who I know very, very well, David Shannon. I don't know if you know Dave.
Okay.
He does the ship. He's played all the major roles in all the West End shows.
Wow.
And Dave Shannon at the time was in Dublin with his family, and I was talking to him, giving regular updates on the cob wall. And just as I was considering doing this cob blocks and actually spending more than £1,000 to sort of cut to the chase, because I really thought ships are going to come back any day. There was whispers and talks, and and I was like, oh please, maybe anyway. And then my friend Dave said, I wish I had a cob wall. And you know what? It made me realise that it was giving me something to do daily. And the moment it finished, I would miss it.
Yeah.
And it was a weird thing. It was a realisation, like, I'm having this relationship with this wall. I don't want to cut any corners, because I'll miss it when it's done, and I'll be like, why did I do that? And anyway, because of David Shannon saying, I wish I had a wall, I just cracked on and just kept going with it. But it's great. And if anyone gets a chance, look at my Facebook page. It's Pete Matthews /Crazy Juggler, and there is loads of video footage of me building the wall. And I've done not a time lapse, but I've taken lots of photos from the same spot every day.
Amazing!
Every time I did anything.
Yeah, I'll make sure I post this when this goes out. I'll make sure everybody has a look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. But I'm really proud of it.
Ice and Teeth.
During all those early lockdowns, a good friend of ours, Jamie Allen, was doing his iMagician show.
Wow, yeah.
Out on Facebook, like a Facebook Live thing once a week, with Tommy Bond and Adam Heppenstall, and it was absolutely brilliant. And his fiancée Natalia,
yeah, wow.
Who during this whole pandemic, they've had a baby. It's brilliant that these are the things that this has happened during this time.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Jamie was doing his TV show, and so every week they would do like a segment, and I would contribute something. So every week I did a little. I reenacted my TV challenge that I did for You Bet, which was like trampoline and Diablo.
Brilliant.
And I did various jumping on the bikes and bounce ball routines, and hi Diablo. I broke a world record during last summer.
You broke the You Bet record?
It was my own world record, admittedly, and it's not on Guinness, although I do drink. In fact, I have a Guinness here right now. So Guinness, if you're listening, please get in touch and properly acknowledge my high Diablo throw.
That needs to be acknowledged in the Guinness World Book of Records. But I think, can you get the Diablo taller than your wall that you've built? That's the...
Yeah, that's it. I bloody hope so. The wall's only 7 foot. No, so I had this, they measure it in time. There used to be I said it used to be because I look online, I can't seem to find it now, but there was a website called recordsetters.com.
Right.
And you could submit your own records. There's a record there, and you could submit it via video evidence.
Okay.
Which made it much quicker and easier, rather than having an adjudicator there. And rather than how high the Diablo went, they would call it the longest Diablo throw. So the longest amount of time it came off the string
Yes.
from the throw to the catch. Obviously, the longer it is off the string, the higher it's gone.
Definitely. And I saw this earlier, actually. I think I know how long you did, and that you did break the record. I saw it.
I did. So the earlier record was like 3.5 seconds, and I broke that with like 4.93 seconds a few years ago.
Yes.
And I broke my own record again with 4.97, and during lockdown, I went over the 5-second mark.
You did. I was so chuffed.
I did, by a hair. By a hair.
Yeah. How do you... I don't know how the Diablo doesn't spin and go out. How do you catch that when it's gone up so far up? It's incredible. Or how have you not killed a couple of birds?
It's the little one that I throw for the high throws, the really high throws. It's shaped. It's got those like knobbly bits, so like a golf ball.
Right. Okay.
Which helps it stay steady in the air, and you get it spinning fast. It's very heavy. It's quite small and very heavy. This small Diablo.
I see. So it will come down the same way it goes up.
Punches through the air, but it goes up fast. But bloody hell, doesn't it have come down fast?
Well, that's the danger. Just one step forward and you're ruined.
Right. No, danger. Yes, Steve. Danger. Yes. I think one of my Diablo things that's on my Facebook page and various videos stuff is me just after doing a Diablo throw, and I say, you see that? That's a bruise, and there's a great big purple welt on my inside of my forearm where the Diablo had hit me just previously.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's good
that,
fun though.
That is dangerous.
It is a real giggle when you throw it that high and you catch it and you sort of laugh to yourself because you're surprised it happened too.
Yeah, especially on the first take. And don't say that took 20 takes because it will ruin the interview. Just say that it was the first take.
One take Matthews. Every time.
One take Matthews. Brilliant. Pete, I want to get onto your cruising a little bit later, but I really want to talk about a young Pete Matthews. Where did you grow up and what were you into as a kid?
I grew up in Wimborne in Dorset.
A lovely place, lovely part of the country.
It is. I know yourself and a bunch of our friends have all played the little Tivoli Theatre that's in Wimborne. It's a lovely theatre. I did my last big variety show in that little theatre. It's terrific. So I grew up in Wimborne in Dorset. I'm one of four. I've got two older brothers and one younger sister. And my parents, Dudley and Diana, they ran the biggest sort of restaurant pub in the town of Wimborne called the Dormers.
Okay.
Often gets confused with a hotel called the Dormy over in Ferndown, which isn't there anymore.
Right.
But the Dormers has now been renamed as the Olive Branch.
Okay.
But my parents ran that for about 15 years. So we grew up there as children. It's quite terrific when you finish school at sort of 3:30, I guess. Or I think we used to finish at 4. We definitely had longer school days when I was at school. We definitely had longer school days.
They dragged.
Started at 9, finished at 4.
Blimey.
Anyway, but we'd come home and it was like the end of summer. Because we had a great big car park associated with the pub, the restaurant that we lived in, and it was right in the centre of town. We had these skateboard ramps and everything, and we'd pull them all out, and it'd be like BMX bandits. We'd have like 30 kids back from school.
Oh, amazing.
From myself and my brother Rich and my brother Steve, all had friends, all had BMXs, all had younger brothers, blah, 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 And there was just this mass of BMXers all just pulling stunts in this car park every day after school. It was just ridiculous,
That's amazing.
No helmets, no pads,
You're a thrill seeker. All I did round my area, there was a place called the Red Square. I used to meet my friends and brothers and sisters around there, and we just used to play 40-40 in, knock on people's doors, run away, and that was it. But there was no skateboards. We used to swing over at the hills. Where you tie a big rope on a tree and you swing on the tree, and that's as crazy as I got. But this. So
do you still live near where you grew up?
I don't know. I'm from Basingstoke in Hampshire, not far from where you are actually. But now I'm in Eastbourne, Sussex. I'm about nearly 2 hours away.
Right. See, because I still, because I'm now over here in West Parley, which is just outside where I grew up.
Yeah.
And because my family have all stayed here.
Right, you still got your skateboard.
Exactly. I've got friends from 13, 14, 15 age that I still see now
at the pub.
And I can bimble through the town and bump into people and parents of friends and it's quite
nice.
It's quite
community.
lovely.
Yeah.
It's really lovely actually. Yeah. I mean, I really cherish that, and I've thoroughly enjoyed. During my time here, having been off, you mentioned it before. I started working in my brother's pub, sort of, I guess about October time, when it was becoming more and more apparent there wasn't going to be a pantomime, there wasn't going to be a
Yeah.
cruise ship, and there wasn't going to be any work.
Madness.
So I started working for my brother Steve in the pub.
Okay.
He's got a pub just in the centre of town. And it was great. It wasn't just great. I mean, I've grown up in pubs, but I've never really done much time the other side of the bar. You know, I've always been the fun side of the bar.
Sure.
You know.
But you're a people person, aren't you, Pete? You really get on with nearly everyone you meet. I think that. So I can imagine people took to you like behind the bar. Everyone, you just got on with everybody, and I bet it was really great when people see you juggling all the glasses and stuff. You're like Tom Cruise, weren't you? when they walked in.
You know, actually, I was. I always had the juggling stuff there.
You're a bit taller.
I'd run around the bar and do a quick show and stuff, and had the big bike in the back of the car and fire torches. Suddenly I'd be out on the back door, you know, one minute serving someone their gin and tonic, and next minute I'm out the back juggling fire torches on a 7-foot unicycle. You know. So it was good. It was good fun, and you know, of course, it helped my brother out because he needed someone at the time, and you know, and I was really good at it. I did take to it very quickly, and really enjoyed it. And of course, you know, the pub benefited from it because we got lots of press between my building my cob wall and then working in the pub as a juggling waiter. You know, the local radio and the local press did a couple of stories on me. I said it's ridiculous. I put on 4 or 5 big variety shows. Yeah. Couldn't get on the radio for love nor money.
I know.
On the bloody wall. On the radio 5 times.
That's it. Every time we do a big variety show now, Pete, we're gonna have to build a wall or paint the house or something, and you know, for charity, and we'll get the press there. But you're talking about being around your area. When you was 11, was that when you did magic in your parents' hotel?
So it wasn't actually a hotel; it was just a restaurant.
Oh, your restaurant. Sorry, yeah.
But you're exactly right. It was the They had a thing called the Beaujolais Nouveau night.
Oh,
and
wow!
It's once a year, the wine Beaujolais Nouveau bring out. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Don't quote me, but they bring out a new wine, and it falls on this certain day every year, the calendar year, Beaujolais Nouveau, and so they've released this wine, and lots of pubs and restaurants would do a promotion of that wine because it was a new release date. And anyway, so my parents asked me if I could do a little something. At the time, I was a very novice juggler and stuff, but I did a little sort of white face Pierrot the Clown, little teardrop, you know.
I like that, Marceau. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. And it consisted of a bit of yo-yo. I had a zombie, which is like a floating silver ball behind a cloth.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a Diablo, and I also had a small unicycle, which I really, 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 really couldn't ride.
You've mastered it now.
I thank God, only just no. So it's So I did this show. Yeah, and I think I was 11 years old.
Blimey.
Actually, you know what? We've jumped. I
About
think
13.
I was 13 years old when I did that show.
Okay.
But I started juggling when I was 11. Yeah. So
Amazing.
But it's funny, you know. Actually, there was a thing about you could work out exactly how old you were. Do you remember this? There was an app. It did a thing. It told you how old you were. If you put down what time of day you were born, and it would tell you exactly how old you are in that second. You know.
Wow.
Anyway, it was an app that did the circuit like sort of last year, I guess, or a couple of years ago.
Okay, right.
Anyway, and I remember putting in Beaujolais Nouveau because that was the first show I ever did.
Yeah.
Because I was able to backtrack and find the date, and I was able to establish that I'd done like exactly 31 years, 29 days, and so minutes in show business.
Oh, that's nice to know exactly how long you've been doing it since then.
Yeah,
since the
I'm
Beaujolais
going to
Nouveau.
that out, Stephen, and I'll send you a text of what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could just drop this into the interview and in the cut.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. That's interesting, isn't it, to know?
It was good. It was really good. But I mean, listen, Steve, how old are you?
I'm 45, nearly 46.
Right, so I'm a couple of years older than you.
Okay.
But you know, because I was tracking back, because I was thinking you started off the interview by saying how we've been on ships and just passed and just missed. But I'm amazed we didn't see each other in the circuit too, because I did the Haven circuit, the Warners.
Yeah, I did.
Butlins, I did all those. Bognor, Minehead, Skegness.
Blimey, is that leading up to like 2000? Is like the late 90s you're talking about? You were doing all those? Or?
No, earlier.
No?
Oh. Very early 90s.
Okay.
I did Cannon and Ball on the North Pier, Blackpool.
Yes.
At 17. and that was 1991.
Yeah, I
sort
see
of
that.
92, 93, I was
Okay.
doing the circuit, the Haven, the Warners and stuff.
Blimey.
And then 95, I went off and did my first cruise ship.
Oh, Constantinople.
I was at Barry Island as a bluecoat when I was 17, and you were 17, but you went up to support Cannon and Ball. But that was for 25-week season in Blackpool. That must have been incredible at 17.
It was, do you know, it really was. And I think it was a little wasted on me just how lucky and fortunate and incredible it was. Cause
Yeah, when you look back
I sort of
now,
just
yeah.
took it in my stride a little bit. I mean, I had a great time. Mike Doyle was on the summer show with Cannon and Ball.
Love
and,
Mike.
and the Platters and yeah, of course, God rest you. Oh, Bobby. Joe, I had a few tears over that when Bobby Ball passed away.
It's been a terrible year for us, yeah.
It really hit me for six, much more than I thought it would,
Yeah.
Steve, because we all work with these people and we do make very close friendships. Yeah, I mean, ridiculously close friendships when you do a summer season or a cruise with someone. But when you've done, a couple of years of your life, important years of your life, because Cannon and Ball was my college years. I always say Mike Doyle. I went to the college of Mike Doyle because, he was there for 2 years from when I was 17 and 18 years old.
Wow.
And I was also ever so poorly back then. Not everyone knows about this, but I had Crohn's disease.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know. My father-in-law's got that, and Dynamo has that, doesn't he? And
Dynamo does have that. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that.
yeah,
So
it's
I
not
had Crohn's
nice.
disease from the age of about 13 to 18. Now, when I say I had it from 13 to 18, most people go, well, what do you mean you had it to 18? And they don't understand
Yeah.
that I stopped having it at 18 because I had an operation. I did that first summer season in Blackpool, in the North Pier, 6 months.
Yeah.
I came out of that. I was meant to go into pantomime in Tonbridge,
Okay.
just outside Tunbridge Wells.
Yeah.
I was meant to go into pantomime, and it would be my first panto. It was like, great, this is summer season panto, Anyway, but I felt very, very poorly towards the end of that summer season. And the last month of that summer season, I probably shouldn't have been carrying on, but I was determined to not be that kid that pulled out.
Yeah. Oh, bless
I
you.
was determined not to be that kid that pulled out. And literally, I came off the pier on the 2nd of November, and went home. And I think I was in hospital on the 5th, and then I think I stayed in hospital until my birthday on the 10th of December.
Oh, blimey.
I turned 18 in hospital, and they let me out on my 18th birthday. But I had this operation called right helicolectomy, which is where they basically chop out the infected part of intestine and join the ends. And this fantastic doctor, Dr. Snook, did the operation, and I was under the care of a chap called Dr. Hindle, who was the loveliest, most kindest man ever in the world. And they basically, I remember Dr. Hindle saying to me after my run with Cannon and Ball, and I had Panto coming up, and he sat there and he looked at me and he said, I think we've got to say no to Panto, haven't we? But he made this decision for me, because at this point I was hoping to get to Panto still. So we cancelled the Panto and into hospital, and during my time in hospital, Tommy Cannon rang me. It was lovely. It was fantastic. The care and love I felt from the industry during that time was remarkable.
Yeah, it's a lot for a young lad to go through. You're in your teens, and to go through an operation when your career's just taken off is overwhelming completely, mate. So God knows what you were going through, but it's nice to have that support, like you say.
Yeah, and of course, Mum and Dad and my family are always ever so supportive. But after the Crohn's, I had to, the diary was cleared right through the Christmas in my 18th, the start of my 18th year. But amazingly, the success of Cannon and Ball, the 25th anniversary show we did on the North Pier, was so successul, they wanted to redo it on the Britannia Pier in Great Yarmouth the following year.
Oh, I love that venue.
So
Brilliant.
I literally just, come, I guess it was May, June, I guess it was mid-June, early June sort of time. I think we were a 12-week season, and suddenly all the old cast got back together. And I'd now turned 18, so now I was drinking legally.
Not that you were before.
And I'd had this Crohn's disease cut out of me. Steve, when I was in hospital just before my operation for Crohn's, I dropped to 8.5 stone.
Blimey.
Yeah, I was ever so ill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I don't
just,
think I'll ever get down to 8.5 stone again.
well, if you build another wall, you might. If you just keep going.
Yeah, I did. I lost loads of weight building that wall. That was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah,
I remember putting a post on. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Of course, I meant to. But it was one of those things where I found myself having to do it because I thought, you know what, this is outrageous. Because I did shed a ton of weight and get into some really good shape. And I remember my wife taking we went down to the beach with all the family and people met when you were still allowed to.
Yeah, yes, good days.
And I bought some real Daniel Craig James Bond shorts, kind of as a joke to wind up my wife, because I knew it would with my kids. But then I wore these shorts down to the beach, and then as everybody got down there, we're about to go to the water, I took straight down to them, and it was ever so funny because it was so not like me. I've always been the Bermuda shorts, the surfy shorts, suddenly to be wearing these skimpy ones was hysterical. But I did put that picture on Facebook to say, I didn't mean to do this, it just happened, and it happened through burning calories, because I was literally just burning calories all day long.
Yeah, do you know what, though? It does give people another set of inspiration, not just building the wall, but to get yourself back in shape, and to, we've all got a bit of lockdown weight, and you can lose it, if you just put a bit of work into it.
It's amazing how easily you can lose it by just doing.
Yeah.
Right now, Steve, I'm working with my brother, Steve. I have a brother called Steve.
It's a good name.
I'm working with my brother called Steve as a builder and a steel erector.
Oh, wow.
And every day, it's incredibly physical labour because you're lifting up, hundreds of pounds worth of steel in weight, moving it around and putting them up.
Yeah.
Steve's a steel erector by trade.
Okay.
So, but he can have a number two. He needs like a second person. Because I said to him the other day, you don't really need someone here today because you're only welding. He went, that's the thing about welding. 1 minute it's all going great, and the next minute you're on fire. I went, I see. Okay, you need a second person. But I was trying to explain to Claire, my wife, I said, when you're on a building site, and you've got a high-vis jacket on, and you've got the hard hat, and I said, and you're doing your job. I said, one, you're doing the physical labour of the job, but the second thing is there's potential danger everywhere on a building site. I never really appreciated those things. Do not come on, danger, the signs. We were kids. We all went into the building site and climbed around the building site when we were kids.
It was fun, wasn't it? It was fun.
Yeah,
when I did it.
Fun.
Yeah.
But suddenly now, when you're on a building site that's a working building site, you've got cranes swinging steels around, and if you take your eye off the ball just for a split second, it can cost you dearly.
Yeah.
So of course, I'm doing these 6, 7 hours, 8-hour days building with Steve right now. But the way to describe it is when you're actually on the site itself doing what we're doing, it's like being on stage in as much as it has to take every bit of your concentration.
You need to be on it.
And I think maybe I'm a little bit over anxious about it because my brother's a bit more relaxed. He's only been there a long time. But for me, I'm like, oh, that could have been so bad. Oh, that could have been so bad. So I constantly have this fear of losing a finger in a piece of steel. So I'm having to pay attention. But again, I'm so thankful that there's some work out there that I can do right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're fit enough for it, and Steve don't turn around and catch you juggling steel bars, does he? He's like, put it down, get back to work. Is it in you? It's always in you, isn't it? You kind of want to. Shall I juggle these bricks?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's funny. It is so because you start putting the tools away, and I've got like a sledgehammer, not a sledgehammer, but like a small mallet hammer, and I've yet to put it away without doing one throw of it, so it spins around and catch it.
Well, you got
to keep put it away. In 4 months, I've yet to put that hammer away without doing a quick juggle. So you're absolutely right. In evolution, you can't not. It's one of those things. It's like I'm used now. Admittedly, I'm falling through the ring, but I used to come home. I used to have this BMX. I still have the BMX, but it was always ready to go. Yeah. When I lived in London, sort of before Annie was born. But whenever I went away and came back, I always got this BMX out of the shed and went out in the road and did a 360 on it, where basically right along you bunny hop a 180 onto the back wheel and carry the front wheel round. So you do it's a full turn on the bike. It looks very cool, and it's very. But it was one of those things I thought, if I ever stop doing this, it will be use it or lose it. So I made myself do it every time. And I remember the moment my daughter was born, suddenly I got really nervous doing this 360 on my BMX because it was something like oh my God, if I do suddenly slip off the pedal and break an elbow,
Yeah.
how am I going to earn? How am I going to support my
I know
family?
you're
Because I
not
now have
thinking
a
about
family.
yourself, are you? You're thinking about your kids now. Every move that you make now, you think, if I do this, my kids won't see me anymore. So you do think constantly as a parent, as a dad, like, is this worth doing? You know.
Listen, we've all seen our children growing up, especially in our little way, Steve. You and I often have seen pictures of our children between close friends and stuff, and you're like, wow, growing up so fast, so big, so this. And, admittedly, I feel like I've been away for a lot of it, but you know what? I've been back for a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, when yes, we can go away for a couple of weeks, and thank goodness we're in a day and age where we've always had phones on the whole time where we could do the FaceTime or the video calls or the Skyping.
Definitely, yeah.
Skype was out there ages ago. I remember it was first appeared. It was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah. That funny Skype noise, when the video comes in, the call comes in. It's a weird noise, isn't it?
It's when you put a $5 of credit on there, or $5 of credit in your Skype account, and then literally you've spoken to someone for like 4 hours. He comes off, and you've spent a cent. Why do I ever use a phone?
I know. Thank God for Skype. Now WhatsApp, isn't it? You were managed, weren't you? Was Brian Wells managing you, and he got you onto TV? Is that right?
Yeah. So Brian Wells owned, along with a chap called Pat Dooley, the Manchester Hotel in Bournemouth,
right?
Which I know so many of our friends have all cut their teeth on it, and have all been there and played the Manchester Hotel.
Yeah.
Most of the big acts would play the Bic or the Pavilion or the Winter Gardens.
Sure.
And then go to the Manchester Hotel, and there'd always be a gig and a drink for you at the Manchester Hotel, and you get big stars, and you get Michael Barrymore coming back there and doing a 20-minute act for the hotel guests.
Oh, really? Yeah.
After being at the Bic, crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's like going to the Dutchman in Blackpool, isn't it? After Blackpool, you go to the Dutchman.
That's right. Yeah, so it was great because they put an advert in the paper, the Manchester Hotel, they put an advert in the paper for a court jester or juggler or thing, because they started this thing called King Arthur's Court. They bought this old church building at the back of the hotel and converted it into a King Arthur's Court, where it was wenches and a king would come out, King Arthur would come out and they'd sing, and they'd be, it'd
That's
really
amazing.
Great
Yeah.
evening.
That's lovely.
And they'd sell it to companies, and they'd come in with tables of 30. And everyone would get in spirit of stuff. It was really a great thing. Anyway, so
brilliant.
My best friend Darren at the time, his mum spotted an advert in the paper, in the Echo, for these jesters, and I was, I suppose, 15 at the time, 14 at the time, and I did everything they asked. Still walking, unicycling. I was already doing it. Anyway, so we rang them and said, yeah, let's try and get together. Anyway, there was to and fro for quite a long time, until finally there was going to be a showcase by a chap called Les Osmond. Did you ever do any of his showcases, Steve?
No, I don't know, Les. I did do a couple of talent shows in Bournemouth for the Bournemouth Echo. I won one in '97, actually, and that was at the Pavilion. You must have done that, did you?
No, I never did. I was lucky enough to. They did the Wessex Star Trail. I think
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
Yes, it was. Yeah, you were probably judging, actually, by that time.
Do you know what? I was judging.
Yes,
I didn't want to say straight off the bat, but I did. I came up with a couple of sort of celebrity, use that word very loosely, but judging, yeah.
Yeah.
But when they did the Wessex Hotel stuff as well, with how first the Wessex Star Trail started, they'd do a spot for someone that wasn't in the talent show.
Okay.
But then during the judging, judges would get together and talk about the scores. They wanted like a 10-15 minute filler there.
Yes.
So a few times I performed at that, which was great.
Brilliant.
Because it was like you got the best of everything because you were the last act on
Yeah.
before they announced the winner. But you weren't actually, you couldn't win or lose because you were doing your show, top of the bill, if you like. So
yeah, definitely.
that was good fun. But just go back to Brian Wells. So Brian owned this hotel, and I turned up. Les Osmond was doing the showcase,
Right.
and I was trying to go to the hotel to do an audition, as it were, for them. And they said, "Don't worry, we'll see you at Les Osmond." Anyway, now it was one of these showcases. It was in Bashley Park. Did you ever play Bashley Park, Steve?
No.
The stage I got there is for like the rehearsal, whatever, about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, I remember. And the stage was tiny, like really small.
Yeah.
Had like a little sort of walkout bit, like a little
The palette.
Like a catwalk,
Yeah.
yes. But the stage itself and the catwalk area was really small. Great for a singer, great for maybe even a duo out the front, singing.
Yeah,
but
not a
as
unicycle.
A unicyclist. No. Anyway, so that's the first night, and now apparently this is like this turned out this is like a real stock routine, but I don't think I'd ever actually physically seen it done. But so I had the 6-foot unicycle, and I used to jump up on it and juggle. But I genuinely, on this particular evening, I was really worried that if I missed it, because I did miss it every now and again, I'd end up in the front row of these people because there was nowhere to fall. And so I get 4 people out of the audience to hold the bike, and I climb up, and my little unicycle routine was born that night.
Yeah.
Anyone will tell you it's a bit of a stock routine, but I don't think I'd ever seen it. So for me, it was like a first. But 15 years old, I did this thing. Anyway, it turned out that Ian Good and Brian Wells were both in the audience, and they came up afterwards and saw me. And I smashed it out the park. This show gets a really great, 15 years old. And they said, "Oh, we want you to, come and work at the hotel and do." I said, "Oh, you want to do the Court Jester?" They went, "No, we want to put you on as cabaret. We think you're better than the Jester. We'll just bring you as cabaret." So
Nice.
they got a couple of other people to be, jugglers, jesters there, and I'd come in as a cabaret every night, 20-minute cabaret in the hotel,
Yeah.
and then come over and do a 20-minute in King Arthur's, and then go back to the hotel and do a late night spot there as well. So I was doing, at 15 years old, I was doing 6-7 nights a week. I mean, I was working every night. They had a function.
That's amazing.
And
But Bournemouth was a busting place, wasn't it?
And the hotel was, 2 or 3, definitely in the week, and then again on Friday and Saturday.
Blimey.
So I got to do my show over and over and over again at such an early age.
Yeah, you've honed
So
it by this time.
By the time Cannon and Ball had come around at sort of 16 was when I did my first audition thing with Cannon and Ball. I was almost, I was ready. People now coming in the industry, where do they get to do that?
I don't know. You need to hone your act, don't you? Holiday parks or on before you get to cruise ships, social clubs it used to be, didn't it?
We've all seen acts that have, gone on to cruise ships. Since, although we're all very lucky, we've had a great career on cruise ships. It's not until you see an act come onto a cruise ship that's never done a cruise ship, and you try and offer them any advice you can, and you see it just not work, and you think, wow, I remember in 1995, my first ship, the Sun Viking. I was very green back then, but luckily the ships were very small. The crew staff were the crew staff dancers. The cruise director did, called bingo and called everything, and it was a real family atmosphere. So you could suck a bit because the audience loved you, and the cruise director would help mentor you and give you tuition, and then the band would step in and say, "Well, you can play a piece of music. You have to use your tapes," and so suddenly I was allowed to grow and helped to grow.
Right.
But anyone coming in now, you almost have to turn up with the real deal straight away, and that's very difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult. There's a couple of things out there where you can sort of... There's like the Pantomime Academy, who's trying to get people ready for pantomime, and my friend Will Allenby...
That's right, with the most brilliant Kev Orkin. In fact,
amazing
you've done
Kev.
one, haven't you? You did a Pantomime Academy.
Yes, of course, yeah. I've done a ventriloquist masterclass for him, and you're setting some juggling ones up, aren't you?
I'm doing a juggling circus skills one, and we unfortunately had to cancel the earlier date.
Yeah.
And so the next date is still pending. As soon as I know about it, I'll let you know.
Brilliant.
But the idea being that people think, well, I haven't got the equipment, but I was like, my whole pitch was, you don't need anything, just what you have in the house. I was going to teach people to do stuff with beach towels, or just towels from the bathroom. Cushions from the sofa. Socks rolled up as balls, and I was going to give like a mini masterclass, if you like, in a few of those tricks. And I actually did do one just recently for a school. And it was quite brilliant because it was a special needs school called Bowcroft down in Dorset here. But one of the children there, I demonstrated the spinning of the cushion, and this little boy started spinning. Anyway, it turns out he can spin. It was like one of those moments.
It was
so
a
he
natural.
starts spinning the book, and next thing he's spinning a tray, and suddenly the teacher was like, "This is incredible. He can spin these things." So now my friend Zoe, who works at school as an assistant, she was saying it's brilliant. She goes, he just started spinning stuff and he can do it. I said, "This is great." So I said, "Listen," I said, "I'm going to send you over some balls because you can spin a tray and then put a ball on top. And if you're going to spin the tray, you can possibly get the ball." I said, "But if he's, has this ability, there's a word I'm looking for, Steve, and I can't find it right now."
It's just a natural ability that he had it straight away.
Yeah,
It was...
avant? No, that's not it, is it? It's savant. Is that a thing that someone that
You gone French on me?
savant? It's not like, oh, do you know, it's really going to annoy me.
There's
That's why I
people
have to work.
shouting at the
Anyway,
podcast. Yeah, we'll find that
So
word.
so this little boy can do it, and so now I'm going to try and tutor him and see if we can put some objects on top and get them spinning. But that was just a great moment.
That's
A brilliant
inspirational.
moment in my Zoom show.
Yeah, so
But
nice.
suddenly I say about doing something, and one of these special needs children does it and can do it. And it's like, I suppose it's like a bit of a Rain Man moment, but
yeah.
I mean that in the most wonderful way, because these children are just a true delight to be around.
Yeah, well, they've not tried it before, and they've realised that they can do something. You've just taught them something, and they've, oh my God, I'm good at this. And you've inspired somebody to take on a new career. But you don't know how far that's going to go, because maybe you were that kid back then, 25 years ago, and it's so nice. I was inspired by a ventriloquist by watching one, and this is where it's got me, and so you don't forget that when you're a kid. You take that on board,
No, that's right. And just go. You did one of these from Ron Lucas, didn't you?
Yes, Ron Lucas was another ventriloquist I watched on TV, and then he done this podcast with us. Yeah, he done my Christmas season. It was
Brilliant.
so great.
Well, congratulations! I mean, because I know that growing up, and I know that you bringing him over and stuff. It's been fantastic. I mean, that's
amazing.
A real kudos to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. I know you've worked with Ron. You've worked with Ron on a cruise, haven't you?
Do you know what we have? I didn't see his show. He didn't see my show.
Oh.
It was one of those where
crossing.
he was on for a night, so he got off the day after, and then I got on. And, so although we were actually on together for more than a night, neither of us actually took each other work.
Yeah, that's a shame.
But I miss him a lot on Disney. I work on the Disney cruises, and he works with Disney quite a lot. So
yes,
we'll often, I'll go into his cabin after he's left. So I can tell you what he smells like.
It's great. I've had him round my place for dinner. I can't believe I'm saying that, but one of my heroes. But he came round for dinner once, and we've been out for meals. And when he came over for a couple of weeks, he roadied for me. He said, "Steve, I'll come to your gigs with you if you've got any." And I had 3 or 4 gigs, and he came to them, and he helped carry my gear in and out of the car. It was incredible. But yeah, I know what he smells like. He smells great.
Yeah, he does.
He's brilliant.
Do you know what? And just saying about that, him being one of your heroes. Yes, I mean Steve Rawlins. I grew up.
Oh yeah.
Steve Rawlins being my all-time hero.
Oh, really? I love Steve. Yeah.
And now we're very, very close friends, and it's really something special to become friends. Not just friends, but close friends
with your peers.
Someone that you looked up to so much.
Yeah.
Okay, is this a natural relationship? Have I forced this on him?
He's general.
Am I some sort of like stalker, and I've just made this happen? I've forced this strong bondship by just repeatedly calling him.
You know that Steve, like yourself, he's just such a genuine guy, isn't he? You just know there's no bad bone, and he's not broken any bad bones. He's he's only got good bones.
Yes, I did Glastonbury with Steve a few years ago.
Oh wow! Is that a cabaret tent they have, isn't it? Cabaret marquee or something?
That's right. Yeah, the circus and the circus field, as it were.
Brilliant.
So there's the cabaret tent, but there's also the theatre and circus field.
Oh, brilliant!
So I was working the big top.
That must be buzzing. And you're perfect for Glastonbury or a festival, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean it was the year that so Dolly Parton was there that year. That was the year that I was there.
Oh, that's a good year. Yeah.
But it was fantastic because I was working the big top. Now I'm not really a big top act,
Sure.
but I spent months leading up to this trying to work out the best show. And then I was talking to a friend of ours called Gronway Tom, who's done many years at Glastonbury.
Yeah, he's great.
I was telling him that I was working the big top, and I was also working the theatre, something, whatever.
Okay.
And he went, you have 2 set of props if you want. I went, what? He said, yeah, you can leave your stuff at each one. Because I was trying to get a trolley to traipse things forward and back.
That's the hardest part. Yeah.
And it was, oh my God, it was like one of those moments, where Oh, I could have. Even to this day, I could kiss runway
Yeah.
because it was just suddenly. I took 2 6-foot unicycles, 2 marble slabs, 2 sets of this, 2 sets, and literally was able to just
Blimey.
bimble up just for my show, throw a few things in the air, make some people laugh, and walk off again. And I didn't have to traipse anything anywhere for the whole festival, and just had a bit of a bloody party.
Yeah, you do need a trolley, but it's so difficult to do those. That just getting from. I had to do 2 venues. I'd done the Chris Evans Festival, Carfest. I'd done that.
Oh yes, that's held down my way, isn't it?
Yeah, in Hampshire, and it's an incredible festival. You stay and watch the concerts later. But I'd done a couple of shows but I had to move to another venue later that day, and it is, and I got big trunks at the time, and not swimming trunks, they're big dummies. A trunk full of dummies. So yeah, it's nice if you can leave, sort of extra dummies or props in another venue, but. Yeah, it's nice you got that help from Goronwy. It's yeah.
It was a game changer. It truly was, because
Brilliant.
Suddenly, a week leading up to it, or 3 or 4 days leading up to it, I was just working out the logistics of how I'm going to get everything around. And when Goron said that, I was like, oh my gosh! And suddenly, every part of the festival changed in that instant.
Yes.
Because literally, it was like, I can actually enjoy the festival and just rock up and my stuff's
Yeah,
there.
get the Guinness out.
And I truly did.
Eyes and teeth.
Can we talk about You Bet? Because you smashed
let's
this
talk about You
this
Bet.
amazing
I loved it.
Yeah, setting a record, and not only No Ordinary Diablo act. Not only did you do it as like trying to break a record, but you done it on a trampoline. Only Pete Matthews can up his game. So tell us about that spot.
I was working for Marvin's Magic in Selfridges, in Hamleys at the time.
Yes.
And this girl comes in, this great-looking girl. I'm fond of the great-looking girls. And this girl comes in, and she's walking around, and she's a woman. And she comes to me and says, "What's new?" I said, "Beg your pardon, what's new?" Anyway, I said, "Everything's new. This is Hamleys." Anyway, it turned out she was the researcher for You Bet,
Yeah.
and she was looking for the next big thing.
Okay.
At the time, the snake boards had just come out. It's like a skateboard where you point your toes in, point your toes out, point your toes in, and you would move it across the floor. Anyway.
Okay.
So she was looking. I said, "Well, I'm new." Anyway, so I pitched it to her that I could throw this Diablo in the air and do a back somersault and catch it again. So we went out. So we borrowed a Diablo from the shop floor and went out the back of Hamleys. And there's a little park 2 blocks behind where we used to go and have our sandwiches. And there's a little patch of grass.
Mm-hmm.
So I launched this Diablo in the air, do a back somersault and catch it again, and say, "There, I could do that." She goes, "How many can you do in a minute?" I went, "I don't know, time me." So we start anyway, and I do about 3 standing back somersaults in about 15, 20 seconds,
Yeah.
and then I nearly pass out. And I say, "I can't do any more." I'm 16 years old at the time. Now, how old? Let me get this right. I'll get my dates right. I was I'd have been 20. I was 20 years old.
Okay.
I was 20 years old demonstrating in Hamleys at the time. So, anyway, she goes, "Well, could you do more on a trampoline?" I went, "I'm sure I could." Anyway, literally, I go off to this gymnasium they set up, and I work out that I can do these somersaults where I throw the Diablo in the air, do a back somersault, catch the Diablo, whilst on a trampoline. Anyway, so we worked out the numbers, and so fast forward about 9 months. That's how long it was before we actually went to film.
Really? Wow.
So now I'm in the studio. They brought the trampoline in. Now, the moment, for some reason, I got very nervous. I don't even describe it. The day before,
Yeah.
Steve, I got very nervous, very tense. It was like I had wooden sleeves on. I couldn't bend everything felt off.
Really?
And we get to the studio, and they get you to do the challenge you're going to do for the cameras.
Okay.
So they get all the camera angles, and then the following day, you do it in front of a studio audience, and it's live.
Yeah.
But so you do a rehearsal, but mainly for lights and stuff. Anyway, I get on the trampoline, and I'm meant to be doing 18 back somersaults in a minute. So I throw the Diablo in the air, do a back somersault, and catch it.
Blimey.
So this is 1 somersault every 3 seconds
Okay.
to squeeze 18 in. Anyway, so I get to the studio, and I throw the Diablo up, and I do the back somersault, catch it again, and I throw it in the air, and I fall off the trampoline, and the Diablo flies off, and then I get another Diablo, I throw it in the air, it misses the trampoline completely. Suddenly now I'm in a studio, and I've got lights, and I've got this, and I'm so disorientated. I can't see it wasn't like for the last 9 months I've been practicing every couple of weeks in a gymnasium with those lovely high ceilings that are uncluttered.
Yes.
So now suddenly I'm throwing the Diablo in the air into an abyss of darkness with pin spotlights and all the gubbins of a studio.
Blimey, no pressure.
Anyway, no pressure. So the studio bosses sit me down the day, after my rehearsal. And they say, Pete, right, so you've got the old Diablo challenge tomorrow. Excited. 18 in a minute. Big number. We thought maybe we should adjust the number just to give it, make it so at least it's doable. And so I said, okay, what do you want to change it to? They went, 2.
They'd watched rehearsal.
18 to 2.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm not doing 2. I said, listen, let's cut it. Let's cut it to 15. Because that's one throw, that's one somersault every 4 seconds. I give myself an extra second on every throw and catch.
Yeah.
So I can do that. And they went, right. And they were really adamant that they didn't want to. Anyway, I was insistent. So anyway, that night, we go off, go home, back to our hotel rooms. Following day, we come into the studio. And they say they want to run one more time in the daytime with all their new camera angles and stuff. And then you shoot it there. I said, no, I'm going to throw the Diablo once. I said, because if I do a full minute, it takes it out of me. It truly did. It was very... Only a minute. I know it sounds like only a minute, but it really knocked you for 6. Anyway, so I do one throw, catch, clean, lovely. Get to the night of the show. Anyway, I go out and Matthew Kelly does the intros. I do the thing. And then, I've got all my family in the audience.
Yeah, it's buzzing.
And of course, they say, right, here we go, 3, 2, 1, go. And I start, and the clock starts. And I'm doing great, I'm just nailing it. And I get halfway through, and we'd never actually done it, but I had a spare load of Diablos and a spare set of strings with my mate Christian.
Okay.
Anyway, the Diablo I caught it, so it counted, but it got tangled on the string. So I had to dump the string and get a new string and a new Diablo spinning.
Okay.
And it was like, this is absolutely, painful seconds. I'm suddenly at 47 seconds, I've got to do 6 or 7 still. Anyway, I go back in, and literally those last 5 was up, somersault catch, up, somersault catch, up. And I literally nailed it with 3 seconds to go.
Oh my God!
And
Wow,
it was
well done.
Absolutely brilliant.
It's amazing.
It was fantastic. It really was. Because anyway, I finished the challenge, and Matthew Kelly pulled me down and to the front. He said, "Well done." I said, "Thank you." He said, "You've never done it before, have you?" I said, "No." Because I had never done it before. I'd never got close to that before.
No, because they asked you to do it. Well done for smashing it, mate. I love the build up to that as well, from rehearsal to that smashing it. It really was an achievement. And looking back, I'd like to think I could do more. And even now, we tried to reenact it on the trampoline, and I did manage the one. Really?
Yeah. I tell you what, it was
happy days.
You know what, that one show that you'll love this, Steve, because this sort of rounds up our sort of interview, if you like.
Yeah.
But that one show was what got me onto cruise ships, because an agent called Alan Blackburn.
Yeah, he discovered you then.
He was in the UK at the time.
Okay.
And Alan lived in Monaco. So he wasn't often in the UK, but he just happened to be in the UK this weekend.
Right time, right place.
And he was in his hotel room, and I was on the TV doing this U-Bet challenge, and he tells me the story. He's not with us anymore, unfortunately, but he told me the story how he was just doing his bow tie, and I was on the TV. He said, "Susan, darling, this young man might be good on the old ships, Anyway. And it went out, I think, in December, and I got a call a week later, and I went off on my first cruise ship on January the 15th, 1995. Literally a month and a half after that went on TV.
Wow.
And that was my cruise ship career, and like I say, I've never looked back since.
Oh, contributional.
And you're age 20, and you've joined the cruise ship industry, which is kind of a daunting thing.
I just turned 21.
Okay,
Ship, yeah.
21. And so did you... I think I was 22 on my first ship, and it was daunting for me to go on and because you have to find extra material. How did you adapt? And did you have the material when you went out there?
What was great was I was put into a show, a Barnum show. So all they
brilliant.
wanted was a 7-minute bit in the first half of the show, and a
Perfect.
9-minute bit or an 8-minute bit,
Yeah.
or even less in the second half. So in the first half of the show, I came out and did juggling to music, just juggling, Diablo, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the second half, I came out and did the unicycle bit. So for the first 6 months of being, or 3.5 months, that first contract, 3.5 months on a ship, it was great because I only had to do 20 minutes of material repeated within another show. Oh, and then they also wanted 20 minutes in the farewell show.
Okay.
Which wasn't a problem because I had the glow in the dark stuff. I had other stuff I hadn't done yet. But material-wise, I certainly didn't have 2 45s. In fact, the 145 I had a very weak 20.
Okay, but we find it eventually, don't we? And you've been all over the world, haven't you, Pete, on these ships? And it has been your life for the last 20 years or more?
Longer.
Yeah, 25 years.
25 years. In fact, we just did it. I had, in fact, this time last year, Jonathan Blackburn, so Alan's son, Jonathan, took over managing me, looking after me, not managing, but being my agent. Soon after the couple of years out of Alan, so sort of 97, Jonathan took on my responsibilities, as it were, or took me on. And he literally came down when we were allowed before the various lockdowns, and took Claire and I out. Him and his wife Gail came down, and obviously Claire and Gail know each other well. And they came down and they took us out for dinner to celebrate the fact that I'd done 25 years with Royal Caribbean.
Oh, that's nice you've done that. Wow.
It was really lovely. It was a lovely night. It was great to see Jonathan because, I know, listen, there's so many acts that have an agent. They say, how'd you get on with him? I said, well, I've never met him.
No. I think I met Jonathan once. I worked for Jonathan for about 5 years when I started the cruising, and I'd done his showcase in London, but it was, so I did actually meet him at the beginning of our relationship. So it's he's a busy man, isn't he? He's really busy in that industry.
You know what? He made it into my wedding speech. I remember we got married in this most fantastic venue called Canford School, just down the road here in Dorset, just outside Wimborne. Yeah. And I remember in my wedding speech, and it wasn't long after Jerry Maguire, I guess, had been a big hit. And I said to him, and to quote Jerry Maguire, Jonathan Blackburn, you are my ambassador of Quam. If it wasn't for you, we'd be doing this wedding in the British Legion.
That's nice. That's nice.
He's been really good for me, Jonathan. I have so much respect for him and love for him. And he's struggling like the rest of us right now.
Yeah, of course.
All these people, it's not just us. Everybody is struggling right now.
Behind the scenes, yeah. It's sad, isn't it? A very sad moment because it's a domino effect, isn't it? Every business that keeps a business running, there's another business, a little business behind the big business. And
I hate to do a joke, but I'm going to do a joke because it really made me laugh because I heard it a couple of days ago, and this chap was saying how he's they said we had someone come and do social distance and come and do some painting for us. As it turns out, he's a British Airways captain. He's a airline pilot.
Oh yeah.
I said, yeah. He said, how do you do? He said, well, you did a great job painting, did a terrific job of the landing. Well, you know what? I know, I'm sorry, it's a joke, but it really tickled me because genuinely there are pilots, there's,
I know,
jugglers,
we're
out there delivering parcels right now, building buildings, decorating.
Looking for jobs. So that's
really tickled me when they said you did a good job of the land because I saw the joke coming, but even though I saw the punchline on the way, I was ready there with my paddles to land it because I was like, this is a great punchline.
It's a great gag. It's one that you could open with actually when you go back to work.
Thing is, that's it. Steve, I don't really do jokes, do I?
No, you don't, mate. You just talk, and you're so funny because you're vibrant. Your act is so energetic, and people stay with you the whole time because it's just the energy that you have. And I tell you what,
I start off and no one can believe I'm going to sustain this, and they think there's no way I'm leaving because any minute now he's going to crash. And they stay to the end just to see if I don't, if I don't let up, and I never let up. I've got you. You can't leave.
Yeah, I don't think they bother staying for me. I think they think, we know he's going to crash, so we'll go now. So, but you must have. I mean, when the cruise ships, and I know that we have rough sea days, but do you still go on when you're juggling axes? There must be scary moments you've had on a moving ship while you're working.
There are, but you know what? I'm on. I reminisced this with Mick Miller the other day. I did fantastic sort of podcast thing,
fab, yeah.
the chats. And I reminisce about this because he asked a similar question, because it often comes up, because you can't help but think, what happens when it's rough and you're riding a 7-foot unicycle juggling knives? So I get on a ship and I'm all ready to do my show, but my show's not till the following day, but everything is ready to go for it,
Yeah.
And I get a phone call. I've been out during the afternoon with a friend of mine, Liam, who was the piano player in the Commodore Club, and we've been out and had a beer and a brandy Alexander and had a couple of glasses of wine and a big dinner. And I'm back in my cabin, sort of 8:30, and the ship's moving around a bit, so I'm like feeling, I'm really full, I've had too much to drink. Anyway, I get a phone call, and Steve, you and I know better than to answer the phone.
Don't answer the phone.
8:30 when it's rough.
Oh no, the production's cancelled.
This is it. Amanda Reed said, "Hi Pete, Amanda here. Bit choppy. Just want to ask, hypothetically, how quickly could you be on stage?" I went, "Who's the band?" And she told me. I said, "I could be on stage in 20 minutes." She went, "Lovely. I'll make an announcement."
Oh.
I put the phone on. I thought, she said, hypothetically, not really.
Didn't know you meant
my God.
tonight.
Literally, ran downstairs. I threw my clothes on, ran downstairs. Oh, bearing in mind, at this point, I'm actually laid star-shaped on the bed in just my underwear, feeling really, really full up, because I've just eaten 2 steaks, a cheese plate, and 2 glasses of wine. I mean, I'm thinking,
because it's your night
no
off.
way. Anyway, so literally, I put the phone down and I went, I'm pissed. And suddenly it dawned on me, I was pissed. And I've just said I'll go on stage. Not only I'll go on stage, it's blowing a hoolie outside, and I haven't warmed up or anything.
And you've got to throw axes in the air as well.
Do you know what? I didn't cut anything out of the show.
Oh,
I got
wow.
down there, I threw my music out to the band, I did 50 minutes show, I got a standing ovation, which was like a wobbly one, and absolutely hammered it, right? And I remember saying to the band afterwards, school night, small night. Because, Steve, we have this thing on ships.
Yeah.
You're working on the Friday. You don't go out on the Thursday. It's
No.
a school night. I'm working tomorrow. Anyway, I was like, why did I ever worry about a school night? I've just been out and had a big old steak dinner and glasses of wine and got
On
on
that
stage
day.
at 4:08 and smashed it and haven't dropped a ball. What am I worried about?
Oh, mate, do you know what? This is why you're booked on inaugural voyages, when they want to kick off with their high standards, they know that they can trust you to do the job, mate, because it recognises you in a true statement, didn't it, when they can trust you to do the job on the first ever cruise of that line. So it's saying something.
You're right. Nick Weir at Royal Caribbean, he always... He referred to me once as it was so lovely, I do love Nick, and he's so pro the acts and pro the performers. He's a performer himself.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's now over at Royal Caribbean, high up very high up, the highest up in entertainment. But he used to call me, his weapon. He said, because I can just load you up and fire you off anywhere I need you.
That's nice.
He says, and that is what I need on an inaugural cruise. He said, when suddenly at 6 p.m. we find out we can't use the lift, we can't use the show, we can't do the thing.
Yeah.
But we still need a show that's going to pack a punch. He says, we can throw you on with nothing but a couple of lights and you'll be all right.
Yeah, that's amazing. But what I love about you as well is that you do use a live band. It's so funky, your show. The music's you should be called the Funky Juggler. I love it. I love how energetic it is, because the clip you use on your website, I was really into it, and I was gutted it was only 10 minutes long, because you are energetic, mate, and you really grab that audience. It's fascinating.
So I used the band. So I remember being so Alan Blackburn, after my first couple of contracts with him, he suggested I get rid of using the tapes, because they were tapes back then. Go using the tapes and use a live band. And it was absolutely the best advice ever, because suddenly using a live band, and I do use the band, not just for a play on, play off. I use them for crashes. I have tunes. I have little bits.
Drum roll.
To the audience, they play a little thing that they'll play and stuff.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've really learned how to. I'll say it like this, but I don't mean it like this. The best out of the band, and I don't mean it like that. I don't mean that I play the game the best out of the band. Over the years, I've learned how to talk to and how to behave with a band, to the point where me and the band become great mates.
Yeah.
And they want to deliver the best for me, rather than because it's on your schedule, you'll play for me. You know, there's a big difference there.
No, definitely.
I've always made the band very interactive in the show. You know, there's not me out front and do it. It's us. You know, and that's always
a part of the
and
show.
let's face it, Steve. We've had crowds. We've had crowds which were very quiet. And I mean, I know this. I mean, you're lucky. You've got a bunch of people in your suitcase you can turn to. But if you're doing comedy and it's just you out there, it's a very lonely old place. But to have a band behind you, you just turn around and start playing to them and playing, you know, and you win the crowd. You know, I'm on a celebrity ship, and there was this most brilliant magician called Justino Zuppi.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever worked with Justino, but he's from a long line of family of circus, but he's top of his game, worked with him on Disney a lot and on Celebrity a lot, but right now he's selling BMWs in Florida.
Wow.
You know, because of the industry, I know.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy and a superb act, top-class act. And also on that ship is Hannah Starosta, who is an equal top-class violin act, absolutely amazing. Anyway, so I get on the ship and I've doing one of my where I turn up for a day, do my show and get off the next. And these guys have already been on for a week. Anyway, Hannah comes up to me and she says, "I died, a horrible death. I died." And I was like, "Hannah, you never died." She goes, "I died." Anyway, Justina comes up to me and says, "I died, mate. Absolutely the worst, horrible death." I went, "Really? You?" And I couldn't get my head around it, right? And I was like, "No." Anyway, so I was like, "No, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. I never die. You know, I'm giving it all this, but I'm really, I'm not going to die. Come on." Anyway, I go out there the following night, do my show. I'm 20 minutes in. "Steve, I'm dying the most horrible death."
They warned you.
Nothing I say is right. Anyway, so I stop. I say, "Stop," and the band are in mid. I go, "Wait." I go, and I turn to the crowd and I say, "Right, you lot, you've had world-class at Justina, you've had world-class at Hannah Starosta, you've had world-class Cirque du Soleil style show, and you know what? You hated all of them. But let me tell you something. Right now you hate me, but you know what? I've worked it out. It ain't me. It's you. And if you don't buck your ideas up as an audience, these shows are not going to get any better, because right now this is as good as it gets." Anyway, turned to the band and went, "Come on." Anyway, Justina was there. I think Sue Denning was the cruise director.
Wow.
Anyway, and I literally, the band went, "Do you know what? I smashed it." The band, the audience turned around. A leaping standing ovation 25 minutes later.
Wow.
Anyway, Justina, I went, it was ballsy, I know. But you know what, word got out, and the audiences were better for the rest of the week for everybody else, because it was, but that, I mean, honestly, it's not something I would recommend to any act starting out.
Mate, but that's the science of audiences, mate. What you discovered there, and you turn that round halfway through a cruise, not just a night or an act, but you've worked out the science of why is that audience. You know, where you go out and do two shows. The first night the first show you storm. An hour later you struggle a little bit, and then why is that? But you've worked that out. They just needed Pete Matthews to tell them, basically.
They just needed telling. I'll tell yours. You're all in the corner. Yeah, no, it was.
I'm going to get you on the phone next time I'm struggling. I'm going to get Pete on the phone. If you don't laugh at me, Pete's coming on the phone.
You were like, "Come on, I know I've got Skype credit. I know I've got Skype credit from 1989. I've got it. I haven't used it. Where is it?"
He's building a wall. I can't get hold of him.
Ice and Teeth.
Can we just quickly talk about the Big Variety Show, which you've raised over £20,000? It's amazing what you've done. You've done 4 of those shows down at Tivoli.
Yeah, that's right. So I did. I'm so glad you told me how many I'd done. I couldn't remember just a moment ago. But no, I did. It started off. It's called the Big Variety Show, and it started off. My son was born prematurely, 7 weeks premature. He had a collapsed lung, and he went into the neonatal at Poole Hospital. Wow. And for the next 6 weeks, they looked after him and my wife Claire. And during that time, my daughter and I were just at home, and it just made me realise everything that was around us was so insignificant without
Yeah.
baby, and my wife.
Yeah.
At the time, we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, but it was just baby, you know. So it was like, oh my gosh, this is really touch and go times. Anyway, I remember thinking at the time, I just want to do something rather than just give them money, because I didn't have a lot of that. But what I did have was friends and a bit of skill.
Yeah.
So I put on this show on the Bournemouth Pier. My friend Ian Good, who was the manager of the Manchester Hotel all those years ago,
Okay.
is now the manager. Of the Bournemouth Pier.
Amazing.
I have to say, Ian passed away last year, and we miss him terribly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow.
Huge. No, do you know what?
Wow.
But he would love this. He would have loved what you're doing, Steve. He would have loved this. He would have been all over this. He would have been promoting this to high heaven.
Bless him.
Anyway,
It's nice to give him a name
so
check.
Ian was now the manager of the pier. So I approached Ian and said, hey, Ian, I want the pier anyway. And we worked out a price, and he said, so after this, after tickets, after that, after PRS, how about we make it zero? So literally, he didn't charge me for the pier, gave me the pier for free to do the show.
Bless him.
So that first year, we made about £1,500 for charity for the neonatal unit.
Yeah.
But I was disappointed that's all we made, because we should have made more. I was learning, I fed all the performers, and that was the only year I fed the performers. I gave them lunch and I gave them dinner after the show.
Yeah.
And that came out of ticket sales and stuff, because I thought that's how you do a show. And I was like, no, that's like £500 that could have gone in the charity,
Yeah. I feed mine Pringles.
Ever since that first year, anyone that did the show, there was no expenses. There was nothing. You put yourself in a hotel. If you want to do the show, you do it. Great. If you anyway. So I did that first year, and it was a huge success. And then did it second year again for the neonatal, another success. And then left it a few years, and then saw the terrible thing that was going on in Syria and all the terrible bombings that were going on over. The Red Cross jumped in. Anyway, so I thought, we've got to do something for all these migrants and stuff. It's a terrible situation. So we did the show, and that was at the little Allendale Centre in Wimborne.
Okay.
And that raised about £6,000 for the Red Cross.
Amazing.
And then we did a show, and then the last show we did it for MS. My wife Claire, her late mother died from MS-related illness. She had MS for 25 years, but she died before I came on the scene. Wow. So the next one was for MS, and that was held at the Tivoli in Wimborne. We did the show at the Tivoli, and we did 2 shows, and it was absolutely brilliant. And during that auction, we ended up, raising over £10,000 for MS, multiple sclerosis research.
That's incredible, mate.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So all in, the 4 shows have raised, a substantial amount of money. It's been quite brilliant.
It's fantastic.
And you're Steve, I know you do shows too. Doesn't it take time, effort?
It's
everything?
hard. It's hard work, mate. But you know what? You've always got your mates always rally round, don't they? They want to be there, and when you've got good mates in this industry, they want to help you, and we'll be there, and we will pay for our own hotel because we'll be with Pete, and we'll be with our mates, and we want to do a big variety show. It's what we strive for, to do being a big show like that, and to have a full house twice in one day is just incredible. So I think people are going to do you favours, mate, because you're full of personality and charisma, and you've built up this friendship with thousands of people over the years, whether it's from the audience or the crew. You're one of the good guys, and that's why people have come out to do it.
Mate, I admire everything you do and how you are, bruv. It's kindred spirit. I love you to bits.
Oh, thanks, mate. I'm just trying to get on the 5th show, so if there is, just let us know.
I can tell you right now, there is going to be a 5th show. Although Ron Lucas, I have got Ron Lucas on speed dial.
so have I. Well, I'll call him for you, actually, and he will come because he's another one of those good guys.
I am going to do a 5th show, and it's going to be in aid of a really good friend of ours. So
oh, bless you.
It is going to happen, and it will happen as soon as they say you can do this. We're going to do it, and if it's in the field on a trailer, then so be it. If it's in the theatre, we'll do it there. But we are going to do one.
I'll do it if it's on top of your wall, mate. I'll be there.
All right, brother.
But Pete, I want to thank you so much for being on Eyes and Teeth. You're a superstar, mate. And let's all get back out there. Some people might not want to go back to work, but they're enjoying the lockdown. But it's it's something that is in our blood, and we need to get back on that stage and do what we do, because God, it's taken us 30 years to get where we are. So good luck to you, and love to Claire, love to your kids, mate. All the best to your family. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks, Steve. Love to you too. Thanks for doing this, mate. I've really thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Thanks, Pete. You know, when I record these, I don't get to take in the conversations like you do when you're first listening. I just react to what I hear in them interviews, and I'm thinking of the next question, or I'm reacting to my guests' answers, which can take you off subject, which I love. And I also love the fact that I get to listen to them back again in detail when I'm editing. And it's one of the best parts of this process. I'm really enjoying this podcast, Eyes and Teeth, and I hope you are. Please message me on Twitter at Ventriloquist29, or on my Google page at The Steve Hewlett Show, or on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review and a 5-star rating. That would be much appreciated. To follow Pete Matthews and see where you can see him live, or book that big variety show number 5 ticket when it's available, of course, and check out his website on www.crazyjuggler.com. Follow him on Facebook as Pete Matthews, and on Twitter he is at Pete the Juggler. Today's quote is quite apt and is from British writer John Armstrong. You don't ask a juggler which bull is higher in priority. Success is to do it all. Eyes and Teeth is originally produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals by Lola, Larissa and Nina Hewlett. Additional vocals by Rich T. The Eyes and Teeth theme music and jingles are all produced and performed by Kevin Dean. Join me next time on Eyes and Teeth, Funny for Money, Edition 3.